So this is James's 309. It's quite recent car to him. He purchased it from up near Snetterton. The guys went up and collected it quite recently. James is known as Wodge to us locals. He's well into a bit of track daying, had various minis and all sorts of other stuff over the years. So this is something that I think is probably the coolest car I've seen him with. I had one of these a long time ago. Mine wasn't as good as this. This one's obviously been track prepped. Very, very empty, nice race battery, safety devices cage. Engine wise, a fairly stock, oh god, there we go, fairly stock MI16 engine. The reason we are going to be changing the management on it is this is on its original management, or on the MI16 engine's original management. Obviously the 309 wouldn't have had this engine, but it's all a bit well, it's all a bit shit. So it's got a few misfiring issues, a few sort of I started it from cold earlier on, and it's a bit shit, to be fair. It starts and stops. I've noticed that the idle valve is actually missing, but we'll do our best to counteract that. What are we going to do with this? We're going to build him a nice quick engine loom, which is going to incorporate his current temperature gauge sensor and his oil pressure light. We will add some wiring in so that you can have some oil pressure sensors rather than just switch on and off. Oil temperature, all of those bits and pieces. We'll leave them a little auxiliary plug-in. We're going to upgrade to some Volkswagen coils to go along the back there for some coil on plug. We're going to change the injectors to something more modern, purely because at some point he's going to want to go up to throttle bodies. I know what he's like. So we're going to just get this ready for a throttle bodied setup, but we'll run this standard inlet perfectly well for a moment. I know what's going to happen. It's going to end up with cams and Christ knows what. I can just see it happening. So we're just going to prep ourselves for that. We're going to use a MaxxECU Street because I love my MaxxECUs, as you probably know from watching on the channel. So we're going to smash one of those in. The current ECU is in the engine bay, so we're going to put a nice grommet in the bulkhead, and we're going to mount the ECU somewhere into the maybe probably on the bulkhead, but somewhere in the car. So yeah, very quick video, maybe 10-15 minutes long, I don't know. So yeah, let's get this old stuff out and we'll see how we get on. Lovely man that James is, brought me cake. I like cake. Wow, what a honey. So it's got some old school DTA in it, and it's hardly any wonder that it's a little bit rough and ready, eh? So it looks like somebody's tried to make off the end of that in some manner with the original loom, but like I say, this is way out of date now anyway. Yeah, I think the best thing for all this is to bin it, start again. Right, so what I think we're going to do is this is the main interconnect, goes up and behind the dash, which connects the engine bay to you know, things like coolant temperature sensors, trigger for the starter motor, all of those bits and pieces. That goes off through the bulkhead, and then this is fudged here and then fudged everywhere else in order to make this work. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to mount the ECU up under the steering wheel with another separate fuse box. We'll lob that off so that we haven't got to dick about trying to extend any of this, and then we can put some more connectors on there, some modern connectors on there, which will then plug into our new loom, which will follow the original where the original one used to be. We'll put a bit of heat shielding around there as well. The original one doesn't, it's just got like a metal shield. We'll add some heat shielding to it there, and then we can just bring the loom round, and then hopefully it will look nice and tidy, sensible. We won't have any crap round here. I know there's plugins and various nonsense, but most of the plugins I've seen are non-waterproof ECUs with some non-waterproof connector which bolts it all here, which just leaves you open to, and we don't rate those other things anyway because they're generally pretty piss poor. They haven't updated anything for 30 years, have they? So yeah, modern EMS in there under the dash, wired through, nice loom, and then hopefully just sort of zap off round. We're going to rewire the fans as well. James has mentioned to me that he's not been overly happy with the fans, so we'll sort that out as well. We'll relay those back there, do that nicely, and then hopefully job done. So yeah, let's start pulling this apart now. Try and get as much as we can out of that that's going to be reasonable and sensible. We'll strip that back nice. Hopefully none of those cables are horrible under there. It looks like they've just been fucked around with there, so hopefully they'll be nice and we can reuse that. Winner. Okay, so I've made just an adapter harness. Basically that's going to go to the OEM vehicle. Then we've got like an 8-way DT. I'm just waiting for a 4-way DTP connector as well, which will go on the end of there, which will then go off to the starter and some of the higher powered items. The old grommet is, you know, someone's mullered that a fair amount, so it was the obvious thing is to replace it. So that's a 51mm hole in the bulkhead. Holtec do these nice 51mm grommets, so we're going to use one of those. So basically now it's a case of just marking out what I'm doing in Excel. That's all I use. Then we're going to mount this ECU and up under the dash by the driver's side. Fuel pump relay we're going to put in the same situ. We're going to mount the fan control module here somewhere, and we're going to run these in a more modern way like a PWM fan controller. Just starting the loom up now. I'm just using this TE braid. I really like it for sort of road stuff. You know, it's really easy to work with. It looks decent when it's finished. Just adding in, this will be like a little, probably like a DTM, little 4-way DTM with CAN bus and one input for, you know, maybe a clutch switch or whatever. This is going to be our DT connector, which will go off to our little harness that we're making up there, which goes to the interface to the car. And then this will go to like a little fuse box for the fuel pump relay and a few other little bits and pieces for fusing. The rest of it will then go along the bulkhead, and then this will go into the engine bay via our grommet, which is the next thing on. So motoring along. Right, so I've pulled in the loom. It goes through our nice grommet space there, and then under where the original loom was, I've got that foil heat proof funk stuff around there. As you can see, we'll tie wrap this up so that it comes around here. I'll build this loom in situ. I'm only going to be doing one of them, so there's no real point in boarding it out or anything. By the time I've measured it all up, I just will build it in situ. So I've also mounted this block here. This is because the new battery is in the boot, so obviously the old one we're going to lose, and we're just going to have a termination point here. Nothing more to say there really. So far so good. Okay, ignition coils now removed. Just pulled that off. We've got some Volkswagen Audi coils in there now, which we're going to use. I'm just doing the like the high current cables, basically the ones from the start motor and stuff. Like previously they were just sort of hanging down there with no protection, not fixed. So we're going to just put some split convoluted tube around there, re-terminate them into this box, and then we'll attach it somewhere nicely along there. Yeah, just keep it all nice and out the way and not abrasing on anything, because you know, we don't want anything mechanical to affect any of this, because obviously that's going to be fire time, which we don't like. So yeah, let's get some of this on there. Right, okay, that's most of that done now. That's tidied up. I've put in a new current return to the chassis from the engine, and now I can start building up my engine harness. So this should take me probably most of the afternoon, I imagine, just to get this done. It's to here. Everything else is made off, as you can see, but yeah, just got to build this up now. Okay, so majority of the loom is done now. Everything is labelled, heat shrunk, with some clear adhesive heat shrink over the top. There's been a little bit more work than anticipated, really, because all of the gauges back from the main instrument cluster, there's oil temperature, oil pressure, and the normal oil pressure light. And obviously we've run all of the exciting wire for the alternator and also the reverse light switch. All of those little bits and pieces have all had to run back through there. So that's all done now. I'm just going to change out the injectors. We're going to get rid of these older ones and put in these nice 550s. This will keep him future proof, and it's just a You know, we know all the data for them, and often all of these injectors are fairly knackered and old now anyway. By the time we've zapped them out, cleaned them, you know, we'd normally charge 20-25 quid for that. New injectors about 35-40 quid. So we just smash those in. They got different connectors on, which I've obviously fitted here, so we'll smash them in now. Then we've got to wire the coils in, then pretty much done other than the main battery wire, so good news. Okay, that's our first start done. I've just popped it on the dyno, going to strap it down, and then we get to do the fun stuff, see what it's actually doing, see what the engine is. We don't really know. James is unaware if it's a standard GTi6 or if it's cammed or modified in some way, but obviously the tune will tell us. We'll be able to see what power it's producing and obviously what shape the VE table is. So that'll give us some idea of what's in there, whether it's cammed or stock or whatever. So let's get going now, get this strapped down, run it up, see what's going on. There we go, all finished up. Spent a couple hours steady stating it. I've already had like some fairly decent sort of bass tunes that we've done for these engines in the past. So I had something fairly decent to start with. A couple of hours steady stating, and we've done a few runs now with 167 horsepower, which is, to be honest with you, not too bad for one of these. It's got some basic mods on by the looks of it. Again, we didn't really know what was going on with the engine. It may have been like completely and utterly knackered. It may have been in some, you know, may have been in some like reasonable state of tune, but the reality is I think it's just a completely stock motor with some added little bits and pieces of breathing mods. So yeah, she's doing all right. That's pretty much where we're going to leave it now. I hope you've enjoyed this like real quick sort of start to finish video. I've touched on nothing really heavily because I do quite a lot of bits and pieces like that in my other videos. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. I always wonder whether it's worth doing these sorts of things because, you know, YouTube ain't really my deal, as you know. I prefer the wires, frankly. But yeah, Wodges 309. Hopefully we'll see this on track at some point soon, James. If not, I want to see some throttle bodies on this very soon. Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining us, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.